Hey, how's it going, everyone? Scartafist here, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a director's thoughts on Season 2, and this is going to kind of serve as a reflection as well as a general tips and tricks guide to win your first game in Legionary's life. Just as I did in Season 2. This will probably not apply so much for people that have beaten the game multiple times and, have a general feel for things, because spoiler alert, once you beat the game, your highest score gets taken and gets calculated into additional points every time you play again. I think that's a very nice way for the dev to ensure replayability for this game, because there's a lot of shit that I kept wondering to myself, how in the hell is anyone, unless by some grace of God they get a 75 roll on pretty much everything, gonna pass those early volunteer, climb up the wall checks? There's just no fucking way. They're just gonna get absolutely annihilated, right? But having said all of that, Season 2 for me was extremely frustrating for the first 2 episodes, because losing the save was kind of bad, right? That I kind of got over that. But when I got bullshitted, and I will admit that I did not play that correctly, and I've learned since, right? But I like to play aggressive, in case most of you have watched my, Freeman content or my streams or whatever. You guys fucking know that I like to be extremely aggressive when I play, even to a fault, right? But I get bullshitted basically at the end of episode 2 after an hour. I get so tilted that I stayed there for 5 hours, and I'm pretty sure you guys could tell because I was in the exact same spot, just pressing record and not record for 5 hours. But anyway, I was in the same spot, like pushing myself to beat the fucking game. I think it was 2 weeks ago. 5 hours straight. I was only supposed to record 1 episode. I would have been done at 1. Instead, I finished at 5:30 the whole Season 2. I refuse to let a game beat me, guys. That's my MO. I played the hard games, and I refuse to get beaten. But, yeah. So, everything that, the biggest thing that I learned from this entire season, the main takeaway, and this is going to apply to people that haven't beaten the campaign yet or are struggling to beat the campaign. When you're re-rolling, make sure that at very least, the stats that you're not prioritizing, if you're going for a strength-based skill build, this means your mental or whatever, make sure the stats that you're not prioritizing, and every other stat at that matter, is at least 55 after the fucking reroll and point distribution. At least 55. On the reroll, every stat should be above 45. But not all of them. But you obviously need shit that's going to be in the 70s, 60s, because you're going to have to put your points, because chances are, if you haven't beaten the campaign, you don't really have that many points to put in, right? So you can put those additional points to get shit up to 55. I think if you have 70 plus strength and 55 endurance after 1 training session, or even at 55, you have enough, just the bare minimum enough amount of endurance needed to pass a check that gives you, the lumbering, the firewood shit, to get +3 morale. And speaking of morale, you're going to want to roll strength and charisma. Strength and charisma are by far the most powerful stats for someone that does not have the appropriate point distribution, because like I said, you're going to need, especially when you saw with episode 3, we finally learned, you're going to need that charisma to be above the halfway marker, at the very least middle with the troop relation, right? Because that shit needs to be 75% done by the end of the first Carthage campaign. If you don't have that shit done, you are going to struggle mightily, especially since most of the enemies afterwards are going to have full coverage in terms of armor. And then you have to be good armor. Speaking of which, the best one to get is that red quilled 0 linen armor quality, whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. But you want full coverage armor, and it's like I say, if you don't have that shit at least 75%, you're going to be in some very, very big trouble. And that's why you see later on in episode 3, even though I have the opportunity to overcap on training, I fucking don't, because I know long term I'm gonna need to be able to spar with the best people, and if I don't get that relation up to a suitable level, I'm fucked. Right? Now, there are times where I do break it because I feel, and that's later on, like episode 4, where I'm basically capped out at massive, sword skill stats, 80s or not, you know what I mean? Yeah, basically, I'm too fucking strong at a point, so then I overcap. But you definitely need that charisma. In fact, that's the number 1 priority if you're surviving your first campaign. Obviously, do the best you can, but if the number 1 priority should be getting the charisma. Not the charisma, sorry, the relation. The relation with the troops, you get that to a minimum of 75% filled. because then you get to utilize best and good training, and life becomes so much easier. Also, another big tip, and this is for combat purposes. There's going to be some bosses, no matter how strong your stats are, you're going to have to wait for that little green fatigue bar to drop all the fucking way down. It might take 60, it might take 100 rounds, but trust me, it is not worth going in on full green stamina. Like, everyone is fully freshed up trying to take them out immediately. You're going to have to turtle. You are going to have to turtle. It is a boring part of the game, but it will win you the fucking game, as you saw in episode 4, guys. Like, it will win you the game, and when you get those additional points, you're going to be able to eventually take him on if you decide to play the game again. But yeah, those are the two biggest takeaways. 75% opinion on the troops by the end of the first Carthage campaign. It should be like the third battle, but anyway, 75% on that, and use the stamina, because there's a lot of times, even when, and you guys saw this, even when they had no energy, they were still landing hits. You got to make sure you strike at that moment. But yeah, those are basically the biggest things. Season 3 will definitely come up, because there were a lot of events that I failed that I'm really curious to see what would happen now that I can, put every stat to 60 plus. I'm really curious to see how we would do. In fact, maybe we could even volunteer for all those events and do all those risky maneuvers and end up winning. Like, running up to the wall to get the reward for the Centurion in the first city of New Carthage, right? I'm so eager to try that out. I think it'd be a lot of fun, a lot of replayability value to the game. So yeah, Season 3 definitely coming very, very soon. And yeah, we're just going to see how things go. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for supporting the channel so far. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.